What is up, guys? My name is Lex, back at it with another 5-10 session here at Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. Make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end of this video. I go over the answers to the questions I asked you guys to leave in the comments section on the last video. First hand, I wasn't able to get my camera out in time, so it's going to be a still frame. I pick up pocket queens. There's a raise in the cutoff to $35, a small blind call, and I 3-bet here to $150. Back over to the initial raiser in the cutoff, who is an unknown player to me, and he puts in a 4-bet to $475. My opponent has around $2,500 in a stack. Normally in these games we play with a $25 gentleman's agreement to mandatory straddle under the gun, which would leave him with around 100 big blinds. I would feel very comfortable getting all in pre-flop pocket queens versus a cutoff range and a 4-bet pot 100 big blinds deep. However, with no straddle on, we're around 250 big blinds deep, and this player doesn't seem like he's messing around too often. I think 5-bet ripping it all in here for 250 bigs would be a slight overplay. Folding seems too weak. That leaves one option, which is to call and evaluate on the flop. So that's what I do. Over $1,000 in the middle to a 4-4-3 2-heart board. Now, this flop can be good if he's got ace, king, or some pre-flop bluffs. It can also be bad if he has hands like kings and aces that we're losing to. I'm just never going to be folding pocket queens on this board in a 4-bet pot. I check over to him and he fires out a $500 bet, leaving himself with around $1,200 left behind. I just don't think there's many options on this one. He seems to be committing himself. He could easily have ace, king of hearts. If he does have us beat with aces or kings, we're just going to get stacked. I announce all in. He doesn't snap call right away, but he does put in the call. And just like that, we're playing a $5,000 pot. Our first hand here at the Hard Rock. We run this board out one time. Turn 10 of hearts. Flush draw gets there. River 7. I show pocket queens, and my opponent shows pocket queens as well. Little anticlimactic. We're going to chop this first pot up. I've got the phone out and recording just in time for pocket aces. $35 raise, a button 3-bet to $175. I cold 4-bet out of the big blind to $400. Only the button comes along with a call. We get a very wet and connected flop of 6, 8, 9, 2 clubs. I think I could be scared of this board. Maybe he could have some sets like 8s or 9s, but I don't think this particular player is 3-betting those hands pre-flop. I feel like a lot of the time he would just be calling with 8s, 9s, and 6s pre-flop. I think a lot of the time here he's going to have pocket 10s, jacks, and queens. I bet out $500 setting up a good turn shove if he ends up making the call, which he does. Big pot brewing here. Turn pairs the board. I'm committed here. He's got around $1,300 left. I announce all in for his last $1,300 with aces. We don't get snap called, which is great. That means we have the best hand. We're rooting for a call now from a pair or maybe a flush draw. He thinks for a little bit of time and folds. Later said he had pocket 7s for a straight draw. I show him the pocket aces, and we take down our first pot.
I saw you had that. I had a lot of that.
Big pots and all-ins become a trend in this vlog. Next up, pocket 6s I raised to $30 in middle position. Small blind 3-bets me to $110, and I make the call. Flop middle set on 10, 6, 5, 2 hearts. He bets out $75. Not going to slow play here with middle set. I bump it right away to $325. Turns out he's got nothing. He snap folds and we win. This next one is an interesting one. Cutoff raises to 60, and oh yeah, the straddle is back on. Thank God. Pocket jacks for me on the button. I re-raised to $200, and you can see the small blind cold 4-bets to $675. All right, things are getting spicy. We're around $3,000 effective to start the hand. I played a lot of hours with this opponent. He's a good pro, a very action-aggressive pro. He can have a lot of hands when he cold 4-bets here. Out of the small blind versus a cutoff open and a button 3-bet. I consider jamming all in here with pocket jacks, but I think calling is fine as well. Given the fact that I'm in position, he's an aggressive player. He could have a lot of hands here. I'd rather just call, let him blast off, and play some flops, turns, and rivers. So I call a 675 big pot brewing 4-bet pot to a flop of 10-2-5 rainbow. Now, this player is very aggressive, like I said. He doesn't tend to slow play very often unless he's got some big monster hands. I'm expecting him to bet here almost 100% of the time, but surprisingly, he checks over to me. Now I have to figure out, should I bet this flop here with pocket jacks? It is a 4-bet pot. Could be losing to aces, kings, and queens. Pocket tens now I'm losing to as well. Or should I check back for some pot control and deception? I feel like betting here is good. I can get value or protect against ace-king, ace-queen hands. By checking back, I can also under-rep my hand, get paid off later on, or potentially allow him to bluff on the turn of the river. I like to check back this flop in a 4-bet pot, and the turn card's a 3 of diamonds, now bringing in a flush draw, also some straight draws as well. My opponent checks for a second time, and now I definitely feel like I should be betting. He can have hands like ace-queen, ace-king, pocket eights, pocket nines, even hands like ace-10 offsuit for top pair, top kicker that he's looking to check call, trying to get to showdown with. I put out a bet of $475, and now the action's back over on the small blind. One reason also that I checked back the flop is I didn't want to get check raised by hands like aces, kings, and queens, but now once he just check calls this turn, I'm almost 100% sure that our pair of pocket jacks is good, and especially when this river pairs the board with another 3, and he checks to me for a third time. This pot is big, it's a 4-bet pot, button versus small blind. Feel like pocket jacks here is just a nuts. I'm going to go for it all. I glance over at his stack. Looks like he's got around $2,000 left. Looks like around the size of the pot. So I announce all in. He thinks for a while. And when I say a while, he thinks for around 3 minutes. Looking back at his cards, mumbling to himself, looking at the board, looking over at me. In these kind of situations, I just try to stare at one particular spot on the felt. I'll either look at a card or a chip, and at this particular time, I was just looking at the all-in button for what seemed like over 3 minutes. Of course, I'm not bluffing here, and once he doesn't snap call, I'm not nervous at all. However, I am kind of trying to portray a little bit of nervousness in me. I don't want to look super relaxed. Maybe he'll look over and get a potential live read. After counting out his stack, doing some inventory, taking a while to think over his decision, eventually he decides to fold. Ace king. Better or worse?
Maybe it's good.
Just a few hands later, I get 1 pip lower, pocket tens this time. Raises 75, same player from last hand, and the small blind 3-bets me this time on the button to $250. I just make the call out of position and flop well. 10, 7, 4, 2 hearts. Top set, the nuts for me in a 3-bet pot. I check, he bets out $200. I could call, but out of position on a wet board like this, with a lot of cards that could be scaring or slowing down the action on the turn, I like to raise right away, make it $675 to go. Looking back, I think I should be going a little bit bigger here, probably something like $750 or $800, leaving myself with an easy jam all in on the turn if I get called. But it doesn't seem to matter. My opponent calls pretty quickly. I put him on a flush draw, put him on a big over pair, possibly even a top pair holding. So when the turn card's a 3 of diamonds, I think, given our dynamic of the last hand, going all in and having him hero fold, he may be a little steamed up, maybe a little frustrated and tilted. He doesn't look like he's trying to fold this time, so I announce again, for what, the 4th time in this session, that I am all in.
All in. All in.
One time.
Dit is makkelijk, hè?
No. Wow, dream scenario here. We get called, full house on the river, pocket tens are good to win over a $5,000 pot. What a couple hands back to back, winning a 4-bet pot with pocket jacks, and then flopping top set, rivering a full house with pocket tens, and stacking my opponent. I will take it. I don't really like this seat because it's a little bit dark, so I switch over to seat number 2, one of my favorite seats for filming in the vlog. We have now accumulated over an $8,000 stack. I believe I'm in the game for around 3K. That's around a 5K profit so far on the day. Next, ace of clubs, 4 of clubs, and the cutoff raise is 75. I get 3-bet in the small blind at $300 by another tough, aggressive European pro. This guy loves to 3-bet or fold out of position, meaning that his range will be a little bit wider given the fact that I opened here from the cutoff. I think all options are available, fold, call, raise, and I like to go with the aggressive route and put in a 4-bet bluff, bumping it up here to $750 to go, thinking that he's going to be a little bit wider here out of the small blind. I've got an ace blocker. If I do get called, I can play post-flop, but that doesn't happen. He very quickly folds, and we take down over $340 of profit without even seeing a flop. Getting a lot of pocket pairs this vlog. Pocket tens again on the button, raised to 75. Same player from last hand, 3-bets me again at $300. This time I call. I think either calling or 4-betting is fine. And we see a flop of king 6-2 with 2 spades. All in all, pretty good board. Only one overcard to my pair. No ace, no queen, no jack. My opponent bets out $200 here, which I think he would do with basically 100% of his range. If he has a wider range pre-flop and 100% c-bet on this board, then pocket tens are just way too strong to fold to this $200 bet. So I come along with a call. I also don't have the 10 of spades, meaning that he could have some 10-eye flush draws that we're beating. Turn card, however, is a bad one. It's the ace of clubs. Now ace jack, ace 10, ace king, ace queen all beat us. We're still losing to a king. Pocket queens, pocket jacks. If he bets, I'll be snap folding, but he slows down and checks over to me. I feel like once he checks on this card, he has some sort of showdown value. I could maybe turn my hand into a bluff to get queens or jacks to fold, but I think my hand is still a little bit too strong for that, so I check back. And the river card's another ace. I feel like this is a great card. Less likely he has an ace. If he bets, I'll be in a kind of a tough spot, but that doesn't happen. He checks. I instantly check back, and we win. Up against pocket sevens, a slightly worse pair than ours, and over $500 of profit is going our way. This table has gotten pretty tough. A lot of tough, aggressive European pros. Not too much action left. It's around 1 o'clock in the morning. I am tired. Up over $5,000, so I decide to call it a night. Rack up my chips, head to the cage, and cash out. Wawa. I just ran over bubblegum. Run bad. River. Hey. Go, 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 go. Alright guys, that is it for this one. Yesterday we ended up profiting $5,700 in that 5-10 game. We ran pretty good, one with jacks, one with top set of 10s, stacking our opponent over a $5,000 plus pot there, and then basically won every other hand throughout the night. 5K profit, I will take it. This is going to be a longer outro because I'm going to be going over those questions that you guys left me from the last video. I got probably over 50 questions and I've narrowed it down to, I would say 10 or so. So we're just kind of going to go through those, no editing, just kind of off the rip, and yeah, see what happens. So first question is, Lex, how about another meetup game? So I've only done 2 meetup games since I started poker vlogging, and I have mixed feelings about meetup games. I feel like they're great. They're a lot of fun. It's awesome to be in a poker environment with other people who watch your videos. The other thing is that it is completely and utterly exhausting for me. I've done 2 meetup games so far, and when I do a meetup game, I want it to be fun, exciting. I want to keep people entertained. I feel like I'm entertaining everybody when I sit down at the table. So I'm constantly talking, asking questions, answering questions. And I remember in the 2 meetup games that I did do that it almost got to the point where it wasn't as much fun to play poker because I was just so, I guess, like bombarded with the amount of attention that you get. So I'm not used to, nor do I want to be the center of attention. I am somewhat of an introvert where I like to be by myself and hang out by myself and relax by myself. If I'm around other people, I am not always the most comfortable. So meetup games are really fun for me, although I'm not sure if it's worth all the stress and anxiety of having 100 people and having to like put on a show for all them. But I do want to do some more meetup games, maybe here in Florida, maybe Texas, LA, Vegas, something like that in the future. Okay, on to the next question. It burns when I pee. Is that anything to be worried about? Well, I'm not a doctor, but a couple things you could, no, we're not going to answer that question. Next question here is from Eric, who is a long time vlog watcher, also a Florida resident, played with him a bunch of times, a good friend. He has a longer question here. He said, when you started playing poker, when you started playing and then vlogging, you may have averaged 1,800 or 2,000 hours of play per year, about an average working year at a normal job. Now that you have moved up to usually the biggest game in the room, do you find it necessary to still work on similar hours, or have you been able to work less during this year, still being able to improve your win rate? So basically the question is, am I working the same amount of hours as I did back in the past now that I am vlogging and or playing at the higher limits? And I would say I average around 100 to 120 hours of poker per month, which is still pretty good. I mean, it's nowhere close to full-time. A lot of full-time poker players are like 160 to 200 hours per month. So for me, being that I only play 120 hours a month, I would say I'm somewhat part-time because I'm spending time on YouTube as well. But as I progress into making more money on YouTube, making more money on other things, and then saving money and making a higher hourly, I didn't have to work as many hours. So basically the last 2 years, I really focused on playing the best games possible, and when the game's bad, I go home. So instead of grinding out a bad game for 3 hours to try to get my hours in, I just leave, I go home, come back the next day. All right, thanks Eric for that question. Next, what is the status of the book you planned on writing and you enjoyed the blog? Plus I got myself some water. Water in a wine glass. So the status of the book. I started writing the book in October. In January, I was putting in a lot of work. I wrote basically like 30 some pages of the book, and it's almost completely finished when it comes to context wise. Like I've written everything that I wanted to write. I just have to edit it. I have to go back and look through and make sure I got everything in there. I have to put in some graphics and some pictures. My mom is really good with editing. She worked for a newspaper for maybe 20 plus years, so I'm going to send it to her and have her look through it and edit it as well, and then I have to figure out a way to get it online and sell it to people. So if you guys have any ideas of how to easily make it accessible for people to click a link and buy it online, nice and easy, that's what I want to do. I just have it all in a Word document right now. I'd like to make it a PDF. If you do have like some answers to that, because I'm really bad when it comes to that kind of stuff, send me an email at lexozias@gmail.com. But hopefully, I'm still working on the book, and hopefully we can get it out by summer. That's the goal, maybe around WSOP time. All right, next question. This is a deep one. Are you planning on getting married and having kids, or is it impossible with the poker lifestyle? So, interesting question. I would say when I was younger, ages like 16 through 25 or something, I was for sure planning on getting married and having kids fairly quickly. Like I thought I'd be married by 24, 25, having kids by 26, 27, which would make me a dad of 2 or 3 kids by now. But that obviously didn't happen. I kind of changed my perspective as I got older a little bit as well. I wasn't planning on, getting married, I guess, the last couple of years, but I do feel like now it would be something that I'd like to do if I found the right person. I've been in a few longer, serious relationships over the past 15 years. Nothing at that level of getting married, but of course, I think that's something that I would like to do. I feel like kids is a crazy thing. I mean, I've heard that kids change your life, but man, it's a lot of work. I deal with 2 dogs right now, but I can't imagine dealing with 2 kids. Now, if you're with somebody that you love and you want to be with, you would want to have kids with them, and I agree. So that is something I feel like I want to do in the future if I found the right person and it was the right fit and the right match. As for if it's even possible with a poker lifestyle, I feel like what you'd have to do, and what I've done in the past a little bit, is prioritize poker and relationships. So right now I'm basically like 100% poker, career, YouTube, traveling, all that kind of stuff. And for me, relationship is not taking a back burner. It's just not as a priority right now because I'm not in a serious relationship. But I feel like if you're married and if you're a poker player, you have to kind of balance those two things. So poker is a very late night activity where you're working late nights on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. I usually go in and work like at 7 p.m. to midnight or 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. And that's kind of a tough time if you're married and having kids, because that's when the kids are eating dinner, when they're going to sleep, when your significant other might be going to sleep as well. So I feel like if I were to get married that I'd have to switch up my schedule a little bit. However, tons and tons of people, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people work those graveyard swing shift and stuff, and I'm sure they make it work. So if I were to be married, I'm sure I can make it work. I mean, poker in general is not the best when it comes to dating. I try to keep poker out of the conversation for at least the first couple dates until maybe it gets somewhat serious, just because people don't really understand poker. Women in general, they just don't really get that poker is a skill and strategy game, and then I've been doing it for 5 years consistently and winning. They think poker is just like slot machines or gambling or blackjack. I try to sometimes explain a bankroll management, all this stuff, and one funny thing, and I'll tell this story, is I went on this date, I don't know, months ago in Miami. Never ended up seeing the girl afterwards, but I was telling her, as we were walking back from a bar, I was telling her, I'm like, yeah, she was asking me about poker, and I was like, poker, you have a bankroll, and it's like a circle, and I only use a small sliver of my bankroll every single day when I play poker. So let's say it's a big circle, I only use a small percentage every time I play, and if I lose that small percentage, I still have the rest of the circle to fall back on to pay my bills and to live. And she goes, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so my dad's also a gambling addict. I'm like, she's like putting me in with her dad being a gambling addict. And it didn't end up working. So she just didn't really understand it. But poker in general is pretty tough, but obviously you'd have to find the right person that would understand poker. People have done it before. But to answer the question, I do see myself potentially getting married and having kids one day. Right now, it's just dogs, but we'll see. Never know what the future may hold. Next question. Get some water, wine. What is your relationship with sleep like? Consistent schedule or struggle? What time do you aim to sleep and wake up? So this is actually an interesting one. This is something I've been struggling with, and I put it in quotations because it's a first world problem, but I struggle with the sleep schedule of a professional poker player. A lot of professional poker players play in the evening to late night because that's when the games are the best, and it kind of wreaks havoc on your sleep schedule a little bit. I had normally my entire life been waking up at 7, 8 a.m. like a normal person, going to bed at 10 or 11 o'clock, being up when the sun's up, being asleep when the sun's down. But poker changed all that. Back in 2018, I started playing later and later and later, going to bed later and later and later. And I would say for the past 4 years, I go to sleep at like 3 or 4 a.m., wake up at noon and 1. And although I am getting a lot of sleep, I'm getting 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, and I always feel rested. I never feel too overtired. It always kind of bugs me or irritates me, or I'm just not quite 100% happy with the schedule of waking up and eating breakfast at 2 p.m. You know what I mean? It just feels a little bit off. Feels a little bit off to be going to bed at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. It's what I do right now because I have the freedom to do that. I don't have a wife or kids. I just play when the games are good, and the games are good is sometimes later at night. So sleeping wise, I sleep fine. I sleep great. I sleep 6 to 8 hours. The time wise, I'm not, it's kind of a struggle because I don't like to sleep those hours, but it's what I do in order to make the most money. So right now, probably going to bed at 4. I don't like to go much later than that, and then waking up at like noon or something like that. I usually put myself at a cutoff when I'm playing poker. Usually I won't play much longer than 2 unless the game's amazing, unless there's a big action player with a lot of money. This past Saturday, I played till 6 a.m. So you can think of how good that game was if I stayed till 6 a.m. But yeah, all right. Next question. All right, I lost this. Okay, next question. Do you edit your own material? So 250 vlogs, 3 years. I have done everything by myself. I've edited the entirety of this poker blog, producing, directing, editing, publishing, all that kind of stuff has been 100% me. I started by just filming my poker hands, going home and voiceovering and doing the editing on a software called Splice. I've used this app for 3 years now. It's been great, super easy. The editing, I don't do too much crazy editing. I don't have any crazy drone shots, or I just have some, different, transitions and stuff like that. But my videos aren't too crazy edited, but it's all me, it's all myself, which can get somewhat tough, but really it's not that bad. I sit at the poker table and I film my hands. I write down the hand histories. I go home, I do the voiceover, I do the intro, I do the outro, I put it together, I upload it, put it on YouTube, boom, it takes me a few hours. So it's not too bad. I've gotten to pretty quick with it now, but in the beginning it was tough doing it all on my own, but I'd rather it just be on my own. I don't really want to hire an editor, even though maybe that could help me produce more vlogs or have maybe better quality. It's just, I like to do it on my own. I want it to be a one-man show, and right now I can do it. I can still sustain 1 or 2 videos a week, so yeah, that's what I do. Next question is, what do you credit as the one thing that helped you move up in stakes? If it was studying, what did you use for courses or software? So I've actually never really taken a course, never used software stuff. I don't study GTO. I studied ranges and stuff, but I would say that the one thing that helped me, I guess, move up in stakes was putting in a lot of time and hours, a lot of work, and then good bankroll management from the very beginning. So if you guys remember my story from back in the day, I was completely broke in 2018. I had no money at all. I never wanted to go back to that part. I never wanted to go back to being dead broke and having no money. So then when I started making money in poker, I tried to hang on to it and save as much as possible. I also tried to put in as many hours as possible, and then also learn and play with really good players that I thought were good at the time. So I would kind of go out of my way to sit next to or sit by good poker players who I thought were winning, who were winning in the game, and watch them play. I would watch how they play their hands, what bluffs they made, their bet sizes, hands they would play in different positions, and I would just try to learn from them, because hey, if they're winning and I try to replicate them, then I can win as well. So I would say what really helped me was putting in the hours, saving up my bankroll, getting to 10K and not splurging 2K on something, not spending 3K on a vacation, just building all the way up to be able to move up higher in stakes. And then I don't really study at all. Really what I do for studying now is just watching live streams of better players than myself. So I'll watch Hustler Live, I'll watch Bally's Commerce, I'll watch some Texas live streams, and I'll try to pick out some players who I like, their play style, who I know that are winning, and I try to just watch how they play hands. I try to learn from them. What do they do in this spot? Why do they check here? Why do they overbet? Why do they bet this sizing? Try to learn and then replicate that into my own poker play. Next is, hey Lex, I'm a senior in college, graduating in a few weeks. I have a job lined up and want to really double down on poker. Not sure how I should go about trying to be successful in both my career and in poker. Any advice? So if you're a senior in college, that means you're probably 21, 22. I would say that you should never give up a job for poker unless you have to. I would say poker should always be for fun and for a secondary income, especially when you're young and especially if you have a job. I would never recommend anyone quitting their job to try to become a professional poker player. I would never recommend someone just, putting way more time into poker than their real job and getting fired or anything like that. I would say the best thing about poker is when you don't have to really worry about the money. When I was really worrying about the money and I was really stressing the buy-ins and the all-ins, it made poker not as fun. But now that I can relax and I can lose a bind or two and it's okay, and I can go play poker when I want. I don't have to play poker when I don't want. It makes poker much more enjoyable. Being a professional poker player, making your money off of poker is one of the most stressful jobs you'll ever have in your entire life. Imagine going to work every single day for 2 months, working your ass off, doing well, doing everything right, and you lose $5,000. Imagine doing that. Go into work for 2 months and you lose $5K, and now you got to worry about paying your bills after losing $5K, and you're going in the next day and you're losing again. It can get really tough mentally. So I would say for this guy, try to do poker as a side hobby, as secondary income. Play poker as much as you can while also working your job, and build up your bankroll as much as you can, and also prove to yourself that you can become and that you are a winning poker player. So let's say for 2 years, let's say you're 21 now, from 21 to 23, focus on working your job and then also focus on playing poker. And if you can be a consistent winner for 2 whole years, you can build up a bigger bankroll. And after 2 years, you decide, hey, I really do not like this job. I want to play poker full time. I have a big bankroll that can withstand me for a whole year if I really need to. You can quit your job. But right now, I would say coming out of college, make money, have a job, use poker as a secondary income, have fun, do it on the weekends, build up your bankroll, prove to yourself that you're a winning player, and then decide after around 2 years. Okay, a few more questions, I think. What is your diet like besides Hershey bars after big wins? Ironic, because I just got a big thing of Ben & Jerry's last night after a win. I only ate half of it though, didn't eat the entire thing. So diet, I don't really have a diet. I don't stick to a strict diet. I try to just eat clean food. I actually enjoy eating clean food. I don't really enjoy eating really greasy burgers or greasy pizza. I like eating good steak and mashed potatoes and rice and chicken and stuff like that, and fish. So the only thing really I have is a really bad sweet tooth when it comes to chocolate, but diet wise, I just try to eat clean, and I eat out once a day or something like that. I don't really have a strict diet, just try to eat good, clean food, and of course, a lot of chocolate. Okay, a few more questions. What stakes were you playing when you started vlogging, and were you winning consistent at that time? So I think some people, especially when I first started posting videos, I don't think they realized that I had been playing for years. So when I first started posting videos, I started posting 5-10 vlogs because they were the most exciting and they were the biggest pots. And I got a lot of comments on people saying like, oh, you don't belong to these stakes. You are gonna lose all your money, you're gonna go broke. Because I think they thought that because I was starting vlogging at that time, I had also started playing poker. But when I started making the poker vlogs, I had been playing poker for maybe 3 or 4 years or something like that. So started at 1-2, built up a bankroll to play 2-5. Back in 2020, started taking a couple shots at 5-10. And then in 2021, after the quarantine, I started taking more shots at 5-10. And that's when I started poker vlogging. So I was a winning consistent player for about 3 years before that. I was taking shots at 5-10 and I was winning, luckily, because it was the softest 5-10 games ever, because it was right after COVID. No European players could come in, so no Euro pros. It was six-handed. Everybody had a bunch of money from, getting money from the government and stuff from COVID. It was the best of times. So I got really lucky that I took shots playing 5-10 during that time, which was June of 2020 through June of 2021. Those were some great poker times. If I would have tried to take shots now at like Hard Rock 5-10, where they play with a straddle and there's a ton of Euro pros, I never would have made it. So got really lucky there that I decided to take a shot right after COVID when it was the softest games possible. But yeah, I've always been a consistent winner. This has been my only job for 5 years. Of course, I've had some bad months here and there, but yeah. So when vlogging, do you write a script? So I've heard that Brad Owen writes out like a script of exactly what he's gonna say. And maybe that's the reason it takes him so long to make his vlogs. He says it takes him like, I don't know, some crazy hours, like 12 or 20 hours to make a vlog. But I don't ever make a script. I do practice what I'm gonna say for the intro and the outro. I am thinking constantly like, okay, I'm gonna do this and put this together. But when I'm actually in my office doing a voiceover, I just look at the hand history on my one phone and I look at the live action footage on my other phone, and I just talk as I'm talking right now. And of course, a couple times I'll mess up and I'll have to try it again and try it again. But I don't write out a complete script. I just kind of go with it. I just kind of just go off freestyle. And in the beginning, it took a while. I'd mess up over and over and over again, and I want it to be perfect. But now I feel like I've gotten good enough that I can just kind of talk and go through an entire hand without messing up, take a little break, and then go through another hand without messing up. And it really only takes me about 2 hours to make a poker vlog right now after making about 250 of them. Okay, 2 more questions. What career would you have if not for poker? This is interesting because before poker, I was a CrossFit coach and I got into personal training, and I was doing more like specialized personal training where I would go to people's houses or they would come to me, or like we would meet in a park and stuff like that. That was before I started playing poker, and that's where a lot of the good money was going to someone's apartment, charging them $100, taking them through a good workout and leaving, getting paid cash. If I wasn't playing poker, honestly, I probably would still be doing that. I would say if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be playing poker for a living and I'd be, playing 10, 25, 50 or 50, 100 sometimes on live streams for tens of thousands of dollars, and I made YouTube videos, I would say that's like the chances of that happening would be 0. So like my entire life, I've never thought about being a poker player. So I have no idea what I would be doing other than poker. I mean, I'm obviously super thankful and grateful that I have found poker, because I don't think there's any way I could make the amount of money that I'm making now if I was a personal trainer or a coach at a CrossFit gym. But if it wasn't for poker in 2024, I don't know, probably still personal training, driving around Miami or Fort Lauderdale training people. I like that work. It was okay. It got a little old after a while, but it was still fun. But yeah, I guess you never know. I'm definitely glad I found poker, because this is by far the best job I've ever had. Okay, last question. How much you get paid from YouTube? This is a question I've heard a lot of people talk about. People ask me all the time at the table, they're like, how much money would you make if you had 50,000 subscribers? Or how much money would you make if you had 1 million subscribers? And I'll tell you guys who are not in the YouTube world is that subscribers means absolutely nothing for payment per month from YouTube. Subscribers is the people who subscribe to your channel so that when you post a video, they see this video on their feed, okay? So let's say you have 100,000 subscribers, but when you post your videos, you only get 4,000 to 5,000 views, okay? 100,000 subscribers, but when you post your videos, you get 4,000 to 5,000 views. You're only getting paid for those people who are watching your video and for how long they're watching your video. Every single time you watch an ad, I get paid, okay? So if the video is 30 minutes and you watch 3 ads throughout the video, I get paid, 3 separate times, and that ups my amount of money I make per video. So let's say I make a video that's 3 minutes long and I get 3,000 views. That's not gonna make too much money. Let's say I make a video that's 30 minutes long and I get 100,000 views. That video is gonna make way more money because people are watching for 30 whole minutes. They're watching multiple ads, which you're getting paid per ad. So YouTube pays you per 1,000 view. There's a thing called RPM, which is rate per mil, rate per 1,000. And I believe that like averages like $8 to $12 on poker YouTube. So you get paid $8 to $12 per 1,000 view on your channel. The best thing about YouTube though is that your videos are out there forever. So I'm still getting people watching my videos that I made 2 or 3 years ago, and you're getting paid on that as well. So throughout the month, I may have, let's say, 200,000 views on my new videos in that month. But then I also get another 10,000 views on the videos that I watched that I made like 2 years before. So you're getting paid on those videos, these videos, and these videos. So YouTube is good. I mean, it's good, good revenue. I don't make enough on YouTube to just only do YouTube to sustain that. I probably make anywhere from 500 to 1,000 per video, probably a little bit less. I don't know, 400 to 700 per video. But yeah, it doesn't matter about subscribers. Luckily for me, I feel like I have very loyal fans like you guys, where a lot of subscribers watch my videos. So if I have 60,000 subscribers, 40 or 50,000 people watch my videos, or sometimes more, which really means that it's a core group of people who are consistently showing up every single week to watching the videos. If someone has 500,000 subscribers and they only get 3,000 views, you can tell that those subscribers either aren't into their stuff anymore, or what's been really big right now is that people get subscribers from shorts and it doesn't compare to long form content. So overall, across all sorts of genres, people will get tons and tons of subscribers for making shorts, where a short might get like 50 million views and you might get 100,000 subscribers from that short, but those people aren't going to watch your long form content, which is kind of why I don't really make shorts, because I don't feel like it's worth it. For people who only want to watch the short stuff, they're not going to want to watch the long stuff. Anyway, that was long. I don't know. I've probably been talking now for a while, huh? I don't know, 20 minutes. This is going to be a long video. This is going to be a good one. But yeah, that's it for this one. I got some traveling coming up, going to California. Excited about that. Some big live stream games. Those will be up next. One more poker vlog here in Florida, and then out to Cali. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. A long outro, answering questions, just kind of freestyle. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'll see ya.